Hello, and thank you so much for being here to listen. I really appreciate it. And today I have a very special guest. This is a double special guest because for one of the few times in all the years that we've done this podcast, I'm having someone back on a second time. So we had Renee on the podcast about 4.5 years ago. And the reason I had her on the podcast at that time was I'm scrolling social media one day and I see this picture. And it's a picture of this like little sparkly G-string bikini. And it's got a number next to it. And it's got a winner's medal next to it. And I see Renee's name and I'm like, what? And I stopped. And I'm like, what is she up to? And I realized that what she's up to is she has gone into bodybuilding competitions, which people do all the time, right? But very few people do it at 67, 68, 69. And that's when Renee actually started competing. So I want her back because I wanted to say, hey, what happens? Like, you did this 5 years ago. You started this 5 years ago. Where are you 5 years later? Right? I mean, are you still rocking it? Are you like, holy moly, that was the silliest thing I've ever done? So, Renee, thank you so much for being here. Tell everyone hello and give us a little idea. Where are you today?
Hey, Kelly, it's great to see you again. I'm just so excited that you decided to invite me back. And I'm doing great. I'm 73 years old now. I started this fitness journey when I was about 60. At about 58, I had a lower lumbar fusion and I got close to 60. And I said, I've got to get serious about my health. I want to make sure that I'm strong, have a strong core so I can play with my grandkids. I was pretty active all the years before, but my back got worse and worse to where I could barely walk. So that's why I finally had back surgery, a fusion at age 58. And so, yeah, I had no real intentions of ever competing in any bodybuilding shows. Things sort of evolved into that situation. And so, really, now I am happy to say that I have competed in 13 bodybuilding competitions when I never planned on competing in one. Lots of great things have happened since then. I mean, I have been sponsored by a bikini maker. Angel Competition Bikinis sponsored me probably within a year of me meeting you. I'm a representative for them. I'm like the oldest sponsored athlete with Angel Competition Bikinis. I actually have earned my GBO Pro card also during that time since I saw you last. I don't have a definite show scheduled yet, but the season's coming up. So I'll probably be competing by the end of the year. And I also will be walking in the Angel Competition Bikini Fashion Show. Now, what is that? That is, it's not a competition, but it's an opportunity. It's sort of a women's empowerment thing for women to get a chance to get on stage, either in a sparkly bikini or in a gown or, a one-piece swimsuit, whatever you feel comfortable in. And that's what that's all about. And I've been having a great time doing all this. And spreading the word that it's never too late to get fit. That's just one of the biggest things for me. And I feel grateful that I can feel this good at this age. And I feel it's really my obligation to let people know what their possibilities are. And, you're never too old. And, 60 age is just a number in my world. I say no old speak. That's kind of my motto.
Right?
Don't, absolutely. You just don't say it, don't speak it. Your body listens to what your brain says and things change. I'm doing great. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me back.
Okay. So everybody who's listening, can you imagine? There's so many synchronicities too, because I had a back injury at the end of last year. And so I suddenly realized, like you, what it's like to go from like Renee was a runner, she was doing all the things, mostly the cardio stuff.
Mhm.
But when her back got to the point where she thought she was going to end up in a wheelchair, and honestly, like there was a point there where the doctors were like, well, to me, you'll probably get well and you'll probably need surgery and, you'll get off that walker at some point. Like those kind of things, when you hear that and you're an active person, you're just like dumbstruck, quite frankly,
Mm.
dumbstruck. But you just said something that's so true. And the truth is that it is never too late. I tell people that all the time. I'm always saying, it's never too late. And there's an and there. And you got to get moving.
That is so true.
You just like, it's not too late, but we can't wait.
That's right. That's a good way to put it too.
Yeah, it is. It's just the thing. So tell us a little bit, like, go back. I alluded to the fact that you are a runner. So you and I have a lot of the same history. Super cardio queens, always doing the cardio thing because that's really how we grew up, right?
Right. Trying to be as thin as you could be. It's all
Oh,
about
yeah,
being
you're right.
fit. That was the thing back then,
That's
Uh-huh. So much anymore. Not
no.
so much anymore. That's right.
But I'm gonna add a but to that. When you started getting serious about lifting, you did weigh more than you do now.
Mhm.
And I'm guessing, this is a wild guess, and we didn't discuss this before we started recording, but I did see you make a notation on social somewhere along the way about your DEXA scan.
Mhm.
For those of
Mhm.
you who like, there's a few people in the world who don't know what a DEXA scan is. It's basically it's measuring your bone mass composition is how we see it normally. Like, we go to the doctor, the GP tells us to go get a DEXA scan for our bone mass. But it's also measuring your body mass. It's measuring your fat. It's measuring your muscle. It's measuring a lot of different things that we may not see on that normal DEXA that we get, just because the doctor ordered it, because we just see about bone mass. So tell us what happened. So you went from, like, your normal self. You were maybe thinner than most, but you know, whatever. And now you've got this great DEXA, and you've lost a little bit of weight, but you've gained a ton of muscle. So how does that look?
Well, I guess that's the cool thing. And that DEXA scan, that's a great baseline. I really recommend everybody get one. Now, women get them when they go to the doctor to have their bone scanned, but you can also have them done separately where they calculate lots more stuff. And I think it's a great thing to do,
I
especially,
agree.
as we age, so you can see all the little fine lines about your whole body. So I
Right?
recommend that for
And
sure.
it's not expensive, y'all. It's like, yeah, anywhere from 90 to $120, depending on where you go.
Right.
You just walk
Mhm.
in, say, I want this. You don't have to have a doctor tell you you can go get it or anything else. You just go in.
It's easy and you can get it done in 15 minutes. So there's places to do it. So absolutely. Okay. So now where were we?
Well, basically, actually, I just took us all over the place. So let me bring us back, because I think
Okay.
I took us about 22 decades across. Tell us about, like, your DEXA scan and where you feel like you were when you first started this journey.
Okay. Well, when I first started this journey, I feel like I was lifting the weights. This is when I hit 60 and I said I got to get serious. And I did get on hormone replacement therapy, which that's a whole nother show, but I'm still on it today. And I feel like that combined with weightlifting has really made a difference. When I started on the weightlifting program, it was really just about strengthening my core. It wasn't about losing weight. I was in pretty good shape. Like I said, maybe 10 to 20 pounds heavier than I am right now. Everybody's weight fluctuates, but I just knew this was important. This is the thing to do. He trained me like he would train any other 60-year-old woman, not excessive. And then he was being careful because of my fusion. So there's a lot of things like I'm never going to do crunches or stuff like that. There's other workarounds. So that's the big thing. He worked on how to build my muscle safely. And over time, things changed with my body. Now, I was still about the same weight. Maybe after a couple of years, my weight wasn't that different because I wasn't really focusing on losing weight. But as time went on, maybe when I was about 65, and during that time, Dustin was always encouraging me to compete in a bodybuilding show. And, that's a whole nother thing too. But basically, I was saying, no, 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 I can't do that. At any rate, um, I went to Germany and took a trip with a girlfriend. I came back and I looked at pictures that we took of ourselves, and I thought, I can do better than that. I looked okay, but I looked like a pudgy woman to me, even though I had some muscle on me. I knew I had been lifting weights for years, and why is that? That's what, we also think, well, this is just the way it's going to be, okay, I'm going to train, I'm going to get some muscle, and I'm just going to kind of look like some women look as they age. And we do pick up weight as we age if we're not doing something about it. And, before you know it, you've got an extra 10 pounds, an extra 20 pounds, and on and on. So anyway, I told Dustin when I came back from the trip, I said, okay, Dustin, I'm ready to change. I've been lifting these weights. Let's do something different. And so he basically, what we did was tuned up my nutrition. Because honestly, 90% of it, after you're doing all the weightlifting and all that, is your nutrition. So I started eating more protein. He gave me a little bit of extra exercising too, but changing how I ate more. I already was a healthy eater. I'm a pescatarian, but I wasn't paying as much attention, and that's how I ended up about 20 pounds heavier than I was before. So basically, I set a goal to lose 1 pound after I came back from that trip. I just want to lose 1 pound. And I put that on my Fitbit and I worked on losing 1 pound. And I kept lifting. I was watching what I was eating. He didn't really put me on a real diet, but we just started paying more attention. I was logging my food. That was kind of the beginning of me being more serious about my nutrition and logging my food. And so I lost a pound. I kept lifting, lost another pound. And basically, over 4.5 months, I lost 10 pounds just doing that,
Okay,
lifting the
wait.
same
I've
weights.
got to stop
Yep.
you for just a second.
Okay, sure.
Everybody is thinking this right this second. What did you change in your food? You didn't
Mhm.
just log. You had to change something else in your food, correct?
Yeah, and one of the things I did that Dustin kept telling me when I'd go work out and I hadn't eaten breakfast, and he'd say, "You got to eat. You got to eat." I
Right,
heard that for years, and I wasn't paying attention. So
right.
basically, you've got to eat. Okay, starving yourself is not the healthy or really the best way to lose weight if
Not.
that's what you're trying to
It's a
do.
terrible way to
And
do it.
that was a hard thing to accept and believe. But once I started doing that and I would have breakfast, okay, then it wasn't just show up at the gym with some coffee and, having a piece of toast. I was going and I was having some egg whites in the morning, an egg. You got to have some carbs for fuel. And so I'd have some oatmeal. Basically, that's what I even do now. I just sprinkle organic oatmeal flakes in my eggs and egg whites in the morning. And yeah, so that was one of the biggest things I did was I started eating more.
I
And
love it. Thank you.
that
Thank
is
you.
the truth. It is
No one believes me.
it's just the truth. I didn't believe it for years, and I had a great person telling me, but my brain wasn't accepting it. But that is so important. It is what it is.
And
So
let me ask you real quick, but it's a higher protein intake, right? When he
yeah,
said you
yeah.
got to eat, he's upping
Hmm.
your proteins
Hmm.
and looking at, like, if you're eating your carbs, you're eating the carbs that are going to be the right ones for you.
Yeah, right.
So you're upping your protein, you're actually eating more, you're logging
Hmm.
it. You're not worried so
Hmm.
much about calories because calories are, yeah,
Okay, yeah, and so that's the big thing. So, and that's really what led into where I am today. It's the same thing. So, here's the rule of thumb about protein. Most people know you need at least 1 gram of protein for every pound of body weight every day, or what your target body weight's going to be. And so, I'm just going to say 125 grams of protein a day is what I want to make sure I get, or more. And so I have basically 5 meals a day to make that happen. And they start in the morning. I still have my coffee like I normally do, but then I'm going to have my egg whites, I sprinkle a little oatmeal in there because I'm going to go work out and you got to have some carbs for fuel. And I do add some vital proteins, collagen peptides. Everybody has some different things. I eat my meal in the morning, then I go work out, then I eat after I work out. Within an hour, you want to try to eat some more protein, some more carbs within an hour after you work out. Your body is already burning fuel, and that'll be good because you got to have both. Later on in the day, maybe at 3 or 4, I have another similar meal. At night, I have something similar. So I just spread it out and I get about, 20 to 30 grams of protein at every meal. And it's not that hard to do, but people think it's hard, but it's really not. So that is the big thing that changed way back then and still is that way today. And if I'm off track or, if I can't be perfect every minute, but basically I go back into that mode whenever I'm trying to focus as I'm getting ready to train and that sort of thing. I focus on that kind of a program. And I'm not big into posting what I eat in a day. I don't want people to copy me. I mean, to
right.
me, everyone has a different goal. Whenever people say, "Oh, well, what about your macros? Can you show me?" My macros will be different from your macros because it depends on your goals. So that's what I have to say about that. But
I
yeah,
agree. Can I
that
ask you
sure,
one thing?
sure.
How do you use protein powders to supplement
I
that
do
protein?
some, but I'm going to tell you, my feeling is this: protein powders and protein bars, that's what you do if you can't get enough from your natural protein sources. That is just a good rule of thumb. And so since I'm a pescatarian, but I do eat eggs and egg whites and a little bit of cheese, but I do meal prep and it all, I try to make a protein powder kind of if I can't hit my goals without it. But there's nothing wrong with it. But when people say I'm going to have a protein shake instead of a meal, to me, that's not going to last long. Your body needs some sustenance and protein powder to me, it's a great thing as a supplement, but don't make that what you're going to do three
A meal.
times a day.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I agree 100%. And, for everybody listening, like Renee just said, you can't be perfect all the time. Well, let me just tell you what I've done this morning. It's 11 o'clock. It's 11:15. I've been up since 5:30. I had a cup of coffee. I had my collagen powders. I went to PT. I worked out hard for an hour and a half. I ran in here, sat down in front of the mic, and I haven't had any food yet. So
That's
know these things, but we just don't always apply them the way we should.
that's right.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And I tell people, forgive yourself if you don't we can't do everything like today with you. And I had to go run my pup to the vet. And today what I ended up doing was meal prep. That's where meal prep comes in handy. In my fridge right now, I've already done meal prep and I have some few ounce packages already cooked of cod, tuna. I have a tuna salad thing that I make. And so I just grabbed the tuna salad that's got egg and tuna. And I had a little bit of something before we talked. So I'm behind too. And it happens. And that's what life is. Life happens and you just get right back on track. You just catch up. Like when you and I are finished talking, I'm going to go grab me some more food and some carbs, and then I'm going to go to the gym. Life happens and you just keep going. You never quit. You might jump off and, fall down a few times, but that's cool. As many times you just get back up and you forgive yourself and you keep going. You just don't stop.
And just everybody who's listening, I did not ask her to say that. We did not prep that.
No,
it's the truth, right?
It's
like
the truth.
Everyone stumbles here and there. Life gets busy, things happen, and you just reset. Now, what Renee was saying just now, and she's way better at this than me. I am not a meal prepper. Like I have some stuff in the refrigerator that, I'll just grab and go, but I don't do a good job at prepping my meals. So I am that person who grabs the protein bar when she has to. It's, there's one in my car, there's one in my purse, there's, one in my wherever. But for me, it's like forgive, keep moving, and just do better next time, Kelly. End of story. So,
okay. And I want to run and grab a couple of things right now. I'm going to jump away for a second and I'll show you something.
All right. Okay. So he's going to show us some stuff. She's
That's
jumping
right.
off camera. If you're watching us on YouTube, you're like, where'd Renee go? She's
Okay.
gone to get us show
coming.
and tell. I love it.
Okay,
For
now, I
those
should
of
have
you
done this.
listening on the podcast, you're like, what are they doing? Show and tell, ladies. That's what we're doing.
Okay. Should have had this already, but I didn't really know exactly what we're going to talk about. Okay, so that's where portable protein comes in handy. And yeah, protein bars are okay. But like in my car, I literally have these. Now, this one has got a lot of extra salt in it, but little packets of tuna, and they have salmon also, because you don't want to eat too much tuna because there is mercury involved. And I keep these in my car, like in the side pocket of my car all the time. These have, like 80 calories and 14 grams of protein. I mean, you can get your protein. And then another one I do is Pescabore ahi tuna jerky strips. Now, this is like 100 calories and 15 grams of protein. And this is jerky, okay? It's like eating beef jerky, but it's from ahi tuna. And I keep these handy all the time. They're in my gym bag. They're in the side pocket of my car. And I make sure I have these. So those are my protein sources. If you're looking for some alternatives to the protein bars are okay, but meal prep it's great to do it if you can. And I highly recommend it.
Yep. Nope. I agree. I may not be the queen of it, but I definitely agree. And I actually, honestly, Renee, I don't think anyone's ever shown me a package of tuna that they carry in their car with them on the podcast before, but it's brilliant. Everybody on here who eats fish, do it, right? Like, why not? And the jerky strips, there fish jerky, there's, beef jerky. I mean, it depends on what kind of meat. There are tons of jerkies. And I am very often, when somebody tells me they can't get enough protein and they're a carnivore, I just tell them, go buy jerky. right?
Mhm.
There's some really
Right.
good, like there's a company called Epic that has a pretty clean jerky, and you just keep it with you. Why not? Like, let's figure this out because we are busy. Like that's the
Mhm.
truth. We are
That's true.
busy. Everybody that's listening to this podcast, thank you for being here because I know you're super busy. So it's
It's
like
so
you've got
true.
two chihuahuas in a room just going wild.
I love it. I love it. Oh my goodness.
All right. So for everybody listening, I am currently in my head thinking, okay, what questions do you have of Renee? Like she's always been active, but like a lot of us, cardio addict early.
Mhm.
Really, truly, like most of the people that, listen to this podcast are probably in, late 40s up. And we were told that to lose weight, you eat less, you do cardio. But, and I'm going to ask Renee if she agrees with this, as we add some years to our life, our bodies change. And that cardio, especially longer than about 45 minutes, just starts breaking down your muscle instead of anything else. And so if you do lose weight, it's muscle loss that you're losing. And we don't want to lose any muscle. Like muscle's hard to gather. And at a certain point in life, it becomes harder to get. So you have to be strategic, right? You just have
Yes.
to be strategic. Some of the
Mhm.
strategies you've used is you hired a trainer. And if you're listening, you're like, I can't hire a trainer. Just drop me a note. I can give you other options. There's a lot of other
Mhm.
things you can do than have a trainer. Having a trainer is brilliant.
Mhm.
I'm guessing, this is a guess, but when you need it, you go to PT, physical therapy.
Mhm.
Like an addict right now at physical therapy because it's taken me from using a walker for 2 months to hiking and leading hikes. What the heck,
Wow.
right?
Wow.
So,
That's great.
it's so PT. So you use PT, you use the power of protein. And I'm so glad you said everybody knows that we need 1 gram of protein per, desired body weight because normally people are like, what?
You
So
don't know that?
refreshing. Everybody knows now.
Uh-huh.
But it's true. Like, I mean, I still have people saying, no, that can't be a good idea. And as once again, there's certain point in life where you have to do it if you
Mhm.
want to keep going.
Right.
You put some goals out there too. Like suddenly you went from I want to get healthy, I want to trim down, I want to change the composition of my body to why not get in a bathing suit on a stage you know, and
Mhm.
compete and gather medals. This woman has medals all over the place and sponsors. So, I mean, to me, you are the epitome of possibility. Like, that
It's
is
I'm just blown away myself about it.
good for you.
I am so grateful that I took that next step. Now, there's nothing, nobody has to compete, but you got to have something to motivate you. So, what is it that keeps you going? And mine was really that just wanted to be as strong and healthy for as long as I could and show my granddaughter what the possibilities were at any age and just feel as good as I can every day. And if I can contribute to doing that by moving my body some and lifting some weights and eating some good food, then why not? Because you don't know how, if you're going to live a long time, you want to feel as good as you can. If you're not, who knows? But yeah, I just think that it's just now my lifestyle too. People have a hard time like, oh, I hate going to the gym or I can't stand the thought of lifting weights. If you will give it a chance, even when you don't feel good, you go anyway, you do it anyway, and it will become your lifestyle. It will become the important thing you're going to do that day. It'll become the most important appointment you make with yourself, just like you might with a client or going to the doctor. You have an appointment for your health and, 45 minutes, whatever amount of time you have to give yourself, that's a gift you're giving yourself that's going to pay off, down the road for sure.
Yeah. Just true though, Renee. It's so true. It just becomes who you are.
It
And
does. It does.
yeah, it does become who you are. And everybody starts from a different place. Obviously, we're all different and we don't have to be competing. And like Renee already said, you don't have to have that as a goal. And you don't have to have like, going backpacking with me as a goal. Like, these are not things that need to be your goals, but you started off at the very beginning saying you wanted to be able to play with your grandkids.
Mhm.
I hear that so much. And whether you have grandkids or you have nieces, like I have no children. So, just being able to play with my nieces and nephews. And I do remember, like, this was
Yeah.
maybe a year or two ago, I was visiting my sister-in-law, and one of the kids was there. And, I don't know, I was doing all this stuff with him, right? I had him on my back and we're stomping around and we're doing everything and we're having fun. Like, he's a fun kid. And I came back and all the people that were inside were like, "We were watching you. I can't believe you were carrying him around." And I was like, "Well, but we were having fun." But it's true. Like, you can do the things that you want to do, whatever they are, when we engage our bodies. And
Right.
really, the more we move, the better we feel.
Mhm. Absolutely. I think that the more we move, the more we move. I mean, that's just
Yeah, no,
it's
I say
really,
that one.
it's a momentum. It's just the truth. You just once you keep go you just got to keep going. And I do that when I notice when I'm walking, maybe just, walking, taking a little walk or something, and I'll walk and maybe I'll be just kind of dragging. And then I'll say, I'm gonna pick up my step. And you just move a little faster. You have control over it.
You
You don't
do,
have to just sort of lumber along. You can move a little faster and burn
right?
a little bit more,
And
huh?
when you move a little faster, it makes you want to move a little faster.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That's right. It really gives you the confidence to know you can.
Okay. Before we wrap up, I mean, I'd love to keep you all day, but before we wrap up, because I know you have things to do, I just want to check in really quick and ask you, like, not just what's next, but since we've talked about possibilities so much, like on air and prior to jumping on, like, possibilities are, it's kind of my word this year. Like, what are the possibilities out there? Because for me, quite frankly, it was a big deal because at the beginning of the year, I was flat on my back and I couldn't walk. So
Oh,
possibilities were like, are the possibilities that I'm going to learn how to use a wheelchair or the possibilities I'm going to be able to walk again, right? So what are some of the things that you're looking forward to? Like, I know you're looking forward to doing the Angel Fashion Show, and I know you're looking forward to competing again this year. I mean, you're a big dancer, and there's a lot of stuff you're up to.
in fact, well, I love to cruise. I just finished my sixth cruise this year last week with my granddaughter and her girlfriend. I have a 15-year-old granddaughter. Gianna I took her and her girlfriend, Janaya, and we had 5 nights of fun, out of Galveston. So actually, I have more cruises planned for this year, including one in November, and it's a Texas country music cruise out of Galveston. And I'm going to be dancing and cruising. So I'm looking forward to that. I am probably going to, compete at some point later on this year too. I haven't decided on what show yet, but I have lots more travel that I want to do. And traveling, you got to be strong and healthy. And I did take a 27-day travel trip earlier, like a couple of months ago, basically solo. And it was great. I guess that's another thing. Solo travel. That's something that we're afraid to do, but I did it a year ago in Italy after I competed in the UK. I said, I'm not going to go back to Houston until I've traveled some more than just going to this competition. And I did a separate, that was my beginning of solo travel. So I'm going to do some more solo travel.
Good
I
for
want to
you.
go to the Galapagos. I want to go on a safari. There's lots of things I want to do. So more travel, physical stuff. Well, I do want to keep competing, and that's a challenge, And there are some other things that I haven't committed to yet that I want to do, but mostly I just want to keep moving around. I love dancing. I usually go on 1 or 2 dance cruises a year because they're so much fun. They're everything. And those are my main things, I guess.
Well, there are,
Like,
I am so grateful to know you as a friend. And I'm so grateful to have you out there as an example, a shining example to all of us of what we can do.
well, thank you. I'm glad to know you. And thank you for inviting me to do that podcast almost 5 years ago. That was my very first podcast interview ever. And I didn't even know what that was all about, Kelly. So thank you so much for doing that, because that sort of gave me the confidence to know that I can do this. I can talk to other people and share what I know about, what's happened with me to maybe make a difference to others. one of my big things is I say no old speak. And I like to spread that around because to me, we do sometimes dwell on it. Everybody's got aches and pains, and we are going to share about them sometime, and that's okay. But we can't spend all our time whining about our aches and pains. So I say no old speak. Don't dwell on it a lot. Don't hang around with people who all talk old. I try to lead by example more than anything else because I'm not going to be beating anybody over the head with my ideas. You can lead by example and just don't let yourself fall into that trap of thinking you're old and thinking you can't do something, because that's really where it all begins. It's in your mind. It's how you talk to yourself that begins everything to me. And so for women who are just starting out, remind yourself that you're okay and you're deserving of feeling good. In fact, here's one thing that I've done. I do a ton of Instagram things. And just recently I did one about, I've put my sticky notes out, and this is what I've got right now in my makeup bag. I am amazing. So every day when I open up this makeup bag, I see that, and it's my reminder. And so you have to give yourself these little reminders, especially if you're by yourself, you don't have anyone else to do it for you. You've got to come up with clever ways to keep yourself motivated. And now I'm here anytime if anyone ever wants to reach out to me too. And, I would be happy to come back again to visit you and just let people know what the possibilities are. I feel that's my purpose, to share that you should never give up on yourself. There's no age limit. I don't let my birth year define me or what I'm going to do. And everybody has that capability to some extent. We aren't going to all be the same, but max out your best. You can do a lot more than you think you can do.
Renee, thanks so much for being here. For everybody who's listening or watching on YouTube, just know this. I will make sure in the show notes, we'll have Renee's Instagram. We'll have notes about her upcoming shows. We'll have ways to reach her. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much for being here and joining me in this conversation. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much too. I appreciate being here. And remember, I want to do a little video of me and you, so we can do that whenever. Okay.
All right, guys, you're going to miss the video of us doing it together unless you go over to the Instagram that Renee on Renee. So we will catch you guys next.